Welcome to St. Paul Island Podcast, middle of the Bering Sea. My name is Ethan Candyfire. This is like episode number 2 for us on our podcast. I'm just going to go around the table and everybody can introduce themselves.
Oh, I'm Leslie.
Leslie who?
Dakota.
Everybody knows.
Greg Freitas.
Aubrey Wigleben.
Naomi Edenshaw.
Daria Dirks.
Father John Kudrin.
All right. Topic of the day. It takes a village. Who wants to take the floor?
I think we should define what it takes a village means to us.
To each person?
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're talking about what does it mean to me it means everybody has a support within their community. They feel like they're supported and they have people they could turn to.
That's pretty much how I feel. Yeah.
Come on, Naomi.
I think it means it takes a village to make change, if you want change within the town.
I agree with everybody, what they're saying so far. We work together, be there for each other, and if someone is hesitant to come up and ask for help, they can tell somebody else and bring it to the people.
Yeah, when it takes a village, looking at the church's perspective on what it means to be a village is we have the 3 unions, and it co-aligns with the Holy Trinity, speaking about the 3 unions: communication, communion, and community. And when it takes a village, when we incorporate those 3 together, then, great things happen.
Right on. And I'll just say, especially for like kids, one of the best things about St. Paul is our kids play out here. Probably not as much as they used to because of technology, but, we have eyes everywhere. And, that's something that lets me sleep better at night, is that we have people that are looking out for each other.
Safety is another big thing of it takes a village. Like you were just saying, our children do play out and we're comfortable and we feel that they're safe within our community and other people are looking out for them.
Yeah, it makes me think back to whenever I was a kid, like during I'd say April, maybe February, April. We used to call it Jello Mellow. We'd play on the ice, but it wasn't solid. It was just like walking on Jello. And man, I would get scolded by so many parents, and my grandparents would hear it from them. And man, did I get a mouthful from those 2. But then now that I'm an adult, it feels good to yell at those kids because I got yelled at a lot. So
Hey, let's hear it. What do you usually say? Hey, boy.
I don't think I should say anything
You
on the
do
podcast.
that. Hey, boy.
Yeah. Hey, boy.
He always says that to my kids. It's funny.
Hey, boy. What you're doing? Or the old Tully Pop, whenever he used to scold us in church. Stars to John. I think that was his name. He used to be good at pulling ears. Holy. I think I got an extra 4 centimeters on my left ear because of that guy.
Bringing back some good memories in here, huh? Yeah.
It takes a village.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Other parents, other community members scolding your children. How do we feel about that?
I feel good. I feel good that other parents are watching out because they know right from wrong. And I pray that they know right from wrong. And I know my kids have, Juliana and Sava have tried to come to me for,
their defense. But then, of course, I would ask, well, what were you doing before they started talking to you, or if it seemed like they were yelling, what were you doing? So there was about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, Aquilina caught the kids throwing rocks at the old hospital or the old clinic. And of course, I think it was like Juliana's birthday party too. So they all came back, and of course, none of the kids said anything. But then Aquilina messaged all of us, or all of the kids who she thought were involved in it. And Juliana, Lula, Micah, Sava, Raylin, they all started to say, oh, it wasn't us. They already tried to deny it. And I said, look, Aquilina already messaged me and others, So what happened? I said, no one's in trouble. We're talking here. And of course, some of them started freaking out and start crying. But, that's just a common reaction. But other than that, I feel good that when other parents are seeing, because I can't see everything.
Yeah.
So
I hope they feel the same way about me, because I don't have kids. But if I see some kids doing some bad stuff, like the Trident housing over here, that electrical line.
Oh yeah.
They've been all over that for like the past 2 years now, and either M or I will catch them, and we'll be yelling at them. So.
Yeah. Hey, get off of there.
I know your mom's like, good job. You tell them.
Yeah, definitely. It takes a village. It's been something that's been around forever. Like, it's good coming from a small town because it does take a village. But is it a concept that's still valid today? Do we feel like something, obviously stuff's are happening. People do report to other kids' parents that, your child was doing this and this, or your child was doing something unsafe. Like just a couple months ago, there was kids, it was still cold, and saw it on Facebook, so social media plays the thing into it. But I guess kids were reported that they're playing on the beach. They're little kids. It was still like just the end of fall and end of not even springtime yet, and they were playing over by the water apparently, and the cops were calling them to get them away from them because they were in the water and it was cold out.
Yeah. Oh.
So that could be a big thing too, like calling cops on my kids. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
During Lent, when I was growing up, like Lula's age, and then maybe a little younger too, but no, probably a little older than Lula's age actually. But we were always taught no cliffs, no water during Lent. There's so many things that happened before my time, I guess, during Lent, when kids would go out and play by the water and they get swept out, or kids at the dock, the East Landing dock, playing over there. I was always told that growing up, don't you ever play by the water or by the cliffs during Lent.
Yeah, it's like idea. Springtime and stuff. So it's like cliffs. The ice is melting and everything, and so like cliffs fall through sometimes. And when the Bering Sea is changing, like that ocean moves. So I was out there not too long ago, like on my surfboard, because I'm like I got a surfboard, so I was just like, I'm gonna go try it, and I went along, and I got stuck out there, and I'm a pretty good swimmer. Like I'm a really good swimmer. But I was stuck out there probably like 5-10 minutes, but I just felt like I was pretty close to panicking, and it doesn't take really that long. Like, I don't know, 5 minutes of paddling and trying to paddle in, it was a lot. So I had to like calm myself down. But like, you just imagine a kid being out there. It's pretty scary.
World gets turned upside down in a hot second.
Yeah, it's like my whole central nervous system was all shut down. I was like, man, I'm gonna go home. I don't know what I was doing. I was like trying to record with my GoPro and everything. It's like, I'm gonna delete that.
I don't need the trauma for later.
Yeah, I was poser, surfboard poser. Well, let's transition a little bit. What about in terms of being an adult? I know we talked about kids, but what does it mean to be, it takes a community in terms for adults?
I think it means do the adults within our community, because a lot of them are disconnected. We're all humans. We all have our own priorities and things, so we all live our own lives right now. But are those people who really need a connection? Are they getting that connection? Are they feeling that connection? Are they feeling like they are part of this community and a village? And if not, how can we bridge that?
Jobs,
We talk.
jobs, training. I see a lot of adults. They feel disconnected because they don't have training for specific jobs, or there's just no jobs open, or maybe they need a license, or GED, anything.
Build those camaraderies between works and like whatever it is, it's I always think about that. Like if there's a community event, and it's like hard because like, it's easy to self-isolate yourself out here, I think sometimes, which is transitions into another concept, which is stigma in the community and stuff. We won't go too far in there, but we can touch base on it.
Future podcast.
Huh?
Future podcast.
Future podcast. We talk about it a little bit and we'll spin off of it. Doesn't mean we can't talk about it again, I think. But just separating each other. Like if somebody is going through something, just simple, hey, it's nice. Are you good, bro?
Mm-hmm. That helps.
Yeah, it helps. No, Father, what's your input?
So I have the story to tell about. So this was about I don't know. I think maybe even last year, June. Jeff, I don't know how to say his last name. Kowalski. I don't know if he's still here or not, but he was working with the city and he was doing the lights. Phil Zaffadel ordered lights for around the church. And, this shocked me when these words came out of his mouth, because I never in my mind would have thought I would have ever heard it from him. Not that I'm saying anything bad about him, but just what he had said. I said, he gave me the details, the plans. We're ordering lights for the church, put around the yard, everything. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, I love it. I like it. It's good. It'll illuminate that road, because during that time, that road is really dark, especially, during the winter times when Sunday morning, or not Sunday morning, but any morning, Monday through Friday for school, there's always kids walking in that area. And
yeah.
Well, back to this story about Phil is I said, that's fine. I said, but why do you want to do this? I said, it's fine for the church. The bishops, they bless it. Why do you want to do this? Why do you feel the need to do this? And he was saying, he says, I want the people of the island to remember where the center of the community lies at. And in every community, city, anywhere you go, anywhere around the world, if you ask where the center of the community is or the center of the city, there are a lot of people that will tell you, well, it's the church, the cathedral, the church, the chapel. This is where it all began. And when I heard that from him, I was like, wow. I said, Phil, do you realize what you just said? I said, you're naming the church as the center of this community. And the fact that you even said that you wanted to highlight it because at night people can remember and see where the heart of this city lies at. So, as we as adults, every morning he wakes up, what does he see first other than the ocean? He sees the church. So, that's where it is for him, in a sense, that when he wakes up, these are the things he sees out of his window. So again, it was something that shocked me about how, he wanted to illuminate the church at night, gives that peace, calm, stillness. But again, the question remains, how often does each and every one of us think about things like that? So,
Honestly, not often, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
you know, and me being
It's
a
the
priest,
glue.
I'm just the same as any human. Yeah, there's oftentimes I don't think about the church, you know, but I do think about it. But you know, there's times that I forget to look at the church when I need peace, calm, stillness, serenity,
Mhm.
you know.
Just to go off, just a little off topic since you're here. Since you brought it up, I actually 3 nights ago, I dreamt that I was in the altar and you looked at me and you're like, "You want me to bless your vestment?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I looked over to you and I was like, "Actually, Father, um, nobody's ever told me why you need to bless the vestment, and you're about to explain it to me." But then I woke up. It was an odd dream. So I guess the church has been in the back of my mind, even though I'm not thinking about it. It's in there subconsciously. My mind is telling me in my dreams. So
It's also God in your heart.
mhm.
God speaks to us every single day. You know, and coming back to it takes a village. God speaks to us every single day. He's in our hearts. He's in our mind, just as easy as the devil is. And for you to have that dream, you know, that's God calling you back to what you really want deep down, you know. So, you know, that's definitely a dream that should not be taken lightly, because he's calling you back for a reason. Not that you should become a deacon or a priest, obviously, but he's calling you back to say, I need you. So he needs all of us.
Yeah, it seems like there was a bigger community back in the day. Like, what did It Takes a Village mean to you back in the day in your generation?
I don't really know what to say about that, but I think we were always helping each other back then. Whether it be my grandmother was one of the, and Doris was one of the chefs in the island and bakers. Whenever somebody go past her house, she'd always have something to give. So and so, come over and I'll give you, whatever she made or she cooked or baked for the day. When everybody was, like when we had the winter or the Orthodox Christmas activities after, like masking, during that time also, everybody had their own thing to do. Like the children, we would go to dances like earlier in the evening, like 6 until 8:30, and the adults, back then we all dressed up like in our church clothes and went to dances. That was fun. We also had games at the dance. Then the adults would go up at 9 and go home at midnight or whatever time they went home. The church was very important back then. Like I was saying earlier, when two of my brothers and I didn't, we were out playing during Saturday night vespers, and my stepdad and my grandfather looked for us. And when we went home, we didn't know what we did wrong, and they told us, you played out during Saturday night vespers, and we got spanked for that.
Mm.
And so I try to remind my grandchildren, you need to stay in if you're not in church. And if not, we were in trouble. Well, I was in trouble. Another thing one thing I miss that we used to do back then, fundraising for the fire department, is the ladies would cook and bake, and you'd auction off the box of food. And we did that up until my sons were in 5th grade, 20 years ago. And then someone made a comment, oh, but they might put alcohol in there. No, don't be negative. Let's bring this back. It would raise money. And one time, the one bid, somebody brought in a pallet of stuff, food, and that person won. They gave $400, and that went to them, her and her family. We, like I said, we didn't grow up with TV until I was a teenager. And the teachers, we had a library in the old school where the Civic Center is now located. And we watched Sesame Street, Zoom, and I'm trying to figure out what the other one was. Anyway, and we didn't have telephones until I became 21. And everybody sees the phone. They let my grandkids play with it. That's old. Oh, excuse me. That's the first phone. And I used to work, and then I used to work for the city on the weekends. And after school, we had one telephone, and that was in the office area where the city manager and clerk they work. So people come in for so many minutes. You pay cash or time and charges, or somebody would call you collect, and you paid. Now I see how everything is so modern, and people tell me you're old school. I go, yes, but I appreciate what we have. I myself told myself I am not touching a computer. I don't know anything about it. I don't like it. They don't like me. And now I'm wondering, how did we live without this? I mean, I thought 1990s, and I first saw my first fax machine. I was like, wow. Like I said, we played out together a lot. We'd go sliding together, play with our dolls, play with our little tea sets we had. The boys would be out. We played Red Rover. We went skating on the pond where the new road is, and we'd even go skating when it was loop-de-loo. And my mom told me my stepdad and his brother, Perfuri, they would get barrels and run. They'd skate and then jump over those barrels back then. We didn't have medevacs. We only had one doctor. So
Just had to handle it.
Yes. We also had steam baths where Mary B. would talk about how the midwife would check the pregnant women. They had certain leaves they used and swatted, and they figured out how far along she was, when she was going to be due, and if the baby was in the right position or not in the right position. Also,
That was during steam baths?
yeah.
That's
yes,
cool.
steam baths. Yeah, these are stories that Mary told me when we were once upon a time doing a museum project with TDX. That was fun. Learned a lot there.
That's so cool.
It sounds like back then there was a lot more people physically doing something together than there is now. Nowadays, people, they do things, but they're like their family unit does things together. There's not coming together as a whole to do things other than like 4th of July and like holidays.
Yeah, Aquilina's got like some archived footage that we've been watching, and there's a bunch of men, and they're shoveling for, I don't know, some car. It was probably the foreman or something, but they were all shoveling, but they were having a good time shoveling, and they were all going somewhere, and they were working together, and she just talked about, for the men, that camaraderie is not the same. But I mean, I don't know. For me, one morning I got stuck, and then HMC crew was up there, just chipper as ever, bright eye, bushy tail, Dallas and Rob Dog, like they were all out there and they were shoveling, and I was like, it's kind of funny. You just said that the other day, and then here these guys are. I mean, it's like, but that's the thing though too. It's like if it's not recorded or spoken about sometimes, then I mean, I don't know. I feel like sometimes we're just maybe personally we're disconnected, but then also,
when you talk about people being chipper and everything, and how Aquilina remembers men coming together, we have to think about the type of things that Daria and everyone had. The cigarettes they have today didn't have as much chemicals in them back then.
Yeah.
The sugary drinks, the sodas were real sugar.
Oh yeah.
They don't have as many chemicals in them. Our whole bodies. So when we become dependent upon how we help each other out, It's because our bodies are being overloaded with these things that our bodies are trying to filter out. They didn't have Monsters energy drinks or Red Bulls. So when you see the photos or archives that Aquilene is showing, is because they truly loved life, because they didn't, they weren't chemically imbalanced.
Oh man, yeah.
This stuff affects our life. And when I hear stories about Daria playing out, it's because it's the same thing with kids, with the technology. Scientists have now literally said that we're all on cocaine.
Yeah.
But not the physical cocaine, but the technology and everything physically
Just that.
fires off the same type of,
Reactions in the brain.
That ding.
yeah, yeah, and that's what we're looking for always.
Yeah.
So scientists, so
Just got to snap.
yeah,
As this goes on social media next week.
Yeah. We're stimulating the beast. Yeah.
No, I think
Hunting.
technology, it started off as a way to get us all together, but now it's become like a sixth sense or something, an extra limb, seems like you can't live without it now.
Yeah.
Seems like, but obviously we can. It's just
Yeah, and I want to jump
like
in.
the father said, it's like
on that
like a
too.
drug, you got to wean yourself off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I always this is a bunch of techie stuff. We got like 2 cameras in here. We got a podcaster. We got some GoPros, and then we got like an Osmo over there. And it's like all this techie stuff, but it's nice when we're working together and collaborating to make something, tell a story, put some input and work together. So like utilizing the space to kind of work together and collaborate is nice. But yeah, we gotta do better at interacting.
Yeah, I want to hear from Leslie, how as a young lady growing up on St. Paul, did you feel that you were safe and comforted on St. Paul? Like playing out, do you feel like you could go to anybody for help, or you knew you were safe wherever you were?
Like for the most part, yeah. But there are some people I was like scared of
Oh yeah.
when I was younger, of course.
was Tone one of them?
Probably. I know him and I think Old Man I was scared of. But I don't know, pretty much comfortable with everyone.
We felt supported as a youth.
Yeah.
Nice. A lot of times, we were talking about earlier, my mom was saying, her as a youth back then, she'd do something, and my cooks would know about it before she even got home, and she'd get disciplined. And that was a day where they used to make you kneel down in front of the icons if you did something bad. Yeah, on rice or on a broomstick.
I was about to say broomstick.
Yes.
A kuka story?
Yeah, your kuka. You don't have to.
Let me think if they even have one.
You have stories. It just yeah.
They were like good stories.
Yeah, when we talk about it takes a village, and Daria actually helped me think of things. Who was it again that you said that would hand out things as people pass by?
That would be my grandma Doris.
Doris. So
Her Christian name was Daria.
Daria. Oh, so when we look at things like this, and you wonder why no one does it anymore. Like, how come no one's seen Doris or Daria? I'm sure people seen her do it, and I'm sure other people did it, but why is it not as common today than it, was back in 60s, 70s?
Change.
Caught up in the rat race, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
I was say plus everything is expensive too. Now.
Changing economy. Who's going to want to share if they're having a hard time getting stuff themselves?
Mm-hmm. And these are all valid points. Yes, very valid points. But one of the points I'm making is again, being a priest, I sound churchy all the time. I'm always sound like a broken record. It's because no one's going to church anymore and they don't hear the parables. They don't hear the scriptures being read. Yes, we could read scriptures ourselves, but how often do we remember, especially in today's day and age? People cannot remember the page they just read anymore. Why is that? Why do we have to repeat the same page just to get the context of what the author or the characters are doing? Or wait, hold on. Let me go back a few pages because I forgot what they were doing. But then let me jump back to where I was. People are no longer going to church and they no longer hear the parables that Christ was speaking about. And the parable that I'm sure that your grandmother, Daria, had heard was the Good Samaritan. A Samaritan who's traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, and the thieves beat him up and robbed him and left him for dead. A rabbi on one side came and seen, but did nothing. And a Jew on the other side came and seen and did nothing, because both of their laws had told them that they were not to touch anyone who was bleeding, because touching blood was a big sin, was, one of the unforgivable laws. But then a Good Samaritan who came along the way and found the man and took him, bandaged him up with wine and oil, which are healing properties in wine and oil. And today's wine and oil, probably not so much. But back then, yes, wine and oil were huge properties of healing. I mean, we go through the history of North America, the Indians, the natives, plants. You don't put plants on wounds for nothing, because, they actually have a purpose because of the oils that these plants carry. Maybe we didn't have wine, but we had plants that were used. This is where medicine comes from. And when Daria's grandma, Daria or Doris, heard these parables, because Christ said to the innkeeper, "Whatever you spend, I will repay back when I return." And of course, that's again, this parable points to the awesome judgment. It points and directs us to this, that whatever you spend, I will return back in fourfold, threefold, tenfold. So I guarantee you, out of love, learning from the church, coming that way, she loved to give things because she knew that the Lord would repay her back in doing these things. So, yes, it's all valid points today. Everything's expensive. Everything has a price to it. But should that stop us from giving?
I think that's a good follow-up to the next question is, are you comfortable asking for help when you do need it?
I think a lot of people aren't comfortable asking for help. They see it as a weakness.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to what Father said. My grandmother raised us family first. And then she, guys like Greg or Roman Freitas would come by with seals, whatever they were hunting for the season. And she would feed us first, then give the rest to their family. She told me, when someone comes into your house, offer them something to drink or something to eat. I pretty much forgot about it. One of my brothers reminded me, "You didn't offer me anything to drink or eat." And she said, you don't know if it's Jesus that you're feeding. So we need to learn, bring that back slowly, even if it's a can of vegetables. Like some ladies want to bring stuff to fundraisers, but they're not good at cooking. They're not confident about their own cooking. So bring a bag of sugar or flour for someone else to use. That's just an idea. Sharing, I think.
What you got?
Yeah, I don't need anything. Just kidding. I don't need anything. I'm fine.
Comfortable.
It's like
Red Bulls.
Lego Batman.
Red Bulls
I
and
don't need
Monsters
anybody.
will keep me going.
Yeah,
I think Aubrey's right.
it's
A lot
hard
of
to
us don't
ask.
like to ask for help, and even with the elder luncheons and snacks that Desta gives out, I told my future supervisor, and I don't get it because I feel like somebody else is in more need than I am. And she goes, "No, you're an elder now. Take it." And I appreciate it, and I appreciated Desta, and when Andronic was doing the delivery, but now he's off doing something else for now.
My pops was the same way. He would get the elder box or one of the programs from the store, but he'd give it to somebody else in need because he feels like he's good and he doesn't need it, so he'll give it out to somebody else that's really struggling. So he'll find them.
I was that little kid trying to eat my grandma's lunch. No.
Yeah.
And I guess that would take it to maybe the final question to the topic. After, are you comfortable asking? Would be, if you are comfortable, do you have people you could rely on, or have people that you could ask for help besides family? I mean, we all have family that'll help us out, but like, do you have friends? Something, somebody else to fall back on if your family can't help you. Maybe that's a good question.
Yeah.
Falls a lot onto stigma. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
ask for help because I'm strong. I don't want to be perceived as weak, and what will they think of me if I ask for help?
Yeah.
But it's not weakness at all to ask for help. It shows how your strength when you're asking for help because you know you need it, and so asking is just your strength coming out.
Yeah, and that's like not just like with food and stuff. That's like emotionally, right?
Yeah.
We're talking, emotional. We all go through these ups and downs, and like having, a good friend, makes a big difference. That hey, you good, man? Like that's nice.
A lot of it's ego too on my part too. Like when I first moved out of my grandparents' house, I lived at the Templex, and I was just working seasonal jobs, and then during the fall and winter, I would be cabbing. Man, you remember we used to have cabs up here, but my ego got to me. We didn't have anything to eat. I cried because all I had was 2 slices of bread and just a little bit of butter, and that was my dinner. My breakfast, lunch, and dinner for that whole day. And I could have easily just walked up to my grandparents' house and be like, "What you guys cooked today?" But part of it is ego, and then part of it is like you don't want to let your family know that you're struggling or you're failing, something like that. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the church, we call that vanity. Humility is out the window, and this world teaches us to be by ourselves, to make things for ourselves, which is fine. But if, one of the things that I hear and talk about, I'm a priest who still listens to hip hop and rap. I love it. Whether if that's wrong, I don't know. But I remember seeing an interview, 50 Cent, if no one knows who he is, he's a famous rapper, Daria. Anyways, my point with him is in one of his interviews, he said, if you don't mind being at the top by yourself, then you're good. But if you are the type of person who hates to be alone and always wants to have comfort with someone, again, it brings in back the idea, the 3 unions: communication, communion, and community, bringing us all back together. And this world will teach you, I don't need anyone. I could do it by myself. Hollywood has been pushing it for years. I don't need anyone. It's in everything. TV shows. And one of the things too that before 2000s came around, if you remember any of the shows with like the Bill Cosby show, you think about Family Matters and all these other shows. I mean, I can't do Living Single. You go back to it. There was actually a questionnaire done for kids in the 90s, and they were asked, why did you choose to go to college? You know, and they had other questions on there. But then one of the last questions is, why did you choose to go to college? Why did you choose to do this? And every single majority of all the answers were all answered the same in one way or another. I seen it in my favorite TV show. They were wearing the college sweaters. And that's why I thought going to college was a good idea, because this is what they were doing. I mean, if you YouTube any of these things, you will see college sweaters in almost every episode of every those shows back in the 80s and 90s that they were promoting. Going to college, going to school, get your education, and do what is best. Not just for you, but for your community. Because all of the shows, what were they promoting? Love, acceptance, being together. We're family, even though you're not actually family. But what did the shows teach you today?
Shows are
Hatred,
today. Kids
envy,
separate, envy, jealousy. I mean, you know, nothing's wrong with it. I enjoy a little drama, but if your mind is not capable to see through those things, it affects millions of people. And this is why we are where we are today in the world. Can adults actually feel comfortable asking for help? And of course, Greg already talked about it. You experienced it yourself. You know, ego. Whether if you want to call it self-vain or vanity, it's still the same. Ego, it's the same thing. You know? My kids today, they're picky eaters. And if they continue this lifestyle, yes, if they ever fall in a funk, they're not going to call on me, because they're teaching themselves, well, I don't want to eat what dad cooks, so I'm just going to starve. I mean, I went through the same thing too. When I moved out on my own, I struggled. You know, I was the same, just like you. You know, I was picky. You know, I wasn't a picky eater, but if my mom didn't cook what I wanted to eat, then I was like, no, because I don't want her to see me failing or falling or just whatever.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how fast your eating habits change when you move out on your own for the first time. Because I was picky too. So, and then I think the pandemic, when it hit last year, is it's actually making people come forward and ask for help lately. It seems like that, at least to me.
Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, when you made that comment, how COVID brought everybody together and more people were willing to ask for help. I didn't think about that until just now.
Yeah. It's been a tough year for the whole world, and it's still going on.
Yes. When COVID first started, I thought, it'll just stay there. It won't come here. And then I was like, whoa. When I went out to Unalaska and Nikolsky or St. George, somewhere around there, I was like, oh, okay, maybe God's trying to tell us something. And what made me want to go back to church too was not being able to go to the Holy Week services. Like I like to go to starting from Thursday on, and not being able to hear the 12 Gospels, not being able to go to the Plus and Nietzsche to kiss it and ask for forgiveness. That made me cry. And I had my cell phone, which I was grateful for, because I was able to hear the services up until 2:30. My phone died, and I shook it, and I got angry, and I threw it on the floor and go, "You devil, you did it on purpose." And I was thinking, what's the matter with you? And then this year I went to, before Saturday night service, I stood by the Plaza Nicho for a few minutes. And some people, I think, were looking at me and said, "I don't care. I want to look at it because it brings me comfort and it calmed me down. And I don't know if I'll be there to see it next year. I want to see it one more time before he takes it in the altar." Little things like that mean a lot.
That was a tough year for the church last year. I mean, I'm glad that the community got together and we were able to broadcast at least for Lent. But yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, you know, the thing about the church too is the Orthodox faith has survived numerous things throughout the world. I mean, you know, this is not the first plague that the earth has ever seen and that the church has survived. You know, the Orthodox faith has been through trials and tribulations, and you know, the pandemic was nothing new for it. Of course, it was new for us, and we didn't know how to handle and grasp that idea. You know, just as a side note too, of course here, 95% of us, we're all Orthodox. So we really don't see or know and understand or know how to feel. But in the lower 48, I have other clergy colleagues that I speak to from other, cities and states. And when the pandemic was ruled over in each state, especially California, church attendance increased by 200%. And there was actually, the numbers have just been released. There was a new 1.2 million people who decided to convert to Orthodoxy. Not just the OCA, but other jurisdictions as well. So this pandemic definitely has opened up to people that we don't always have tomorrow. We don't always have this next week. We don't always have next month because we don't know what's going to happen. And you know, it's not just here. Everyone else felt it, asking help from other people, you know, and what does it take to be a village, you know? When Christ, before he departed from the apostles, he said, "Go therefore and baptize all nations." Now, the word nations is loosely used. It's really not correctly translated. Because in today's day and age, we're talking about nations, you know, big nations, countries. But that's not what Christ was talking about. Nations, when it was actually translated from Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Again, I'm forgetting the word, but it was translated as a group of people, whether if it be 4, 5, 20, but that was considered a nation. That was what was considered. And Christ saying, "Go therefore and baptize all nations," meaning all tribes. If you go to Africa, if you've ever even studied anything about Africa, there are over 1.2 million dialects in African language. And all tribes, even the tribe that's 20 miles away, they speak a whole completely different language than this one. And it's all like that everywhere, all over Africa. And so that's what Christ meant. Go baptize all nations. So us being a village, we're our own nation. And obviously we are the largest population out of the Aleutian Islands as well. So
asking help for car troubles. I'm just throwing that in there.
Going back to the pandemic, I'd like to personally thank each and every person on this island and off island for keeping us at one positive case. That literally took the village
Mm-hmm.
to get this far. And as of this recording, we're at 70% vaccinated on this island, with the goal of hitting 80% to having almost everything open. So, congratulations, our village, St. Paul Island.
Sweet dude.
Don't you have that?
I do. I think. Let's see which one it is. I might mess it up though. Nope, wrong one. There you go.
There you go. Turn it up.
Way to go, St. Paul.
God is merciful. Yeah.
Anything else?
Any closing remarks from anybody?
I just want to say that this was an experience. This was fun. I'm glad y'all came in. I definitely enjoy the bashfulness of like getting somebody in front of a camera, and like, you know, people are nervous and are like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. And like sometimes like I'm just, for other videographers out there, you know, students that might be watching this, is like, you need to help people get comfortable. And I'm like, no, you don't. You just need to point the camera, and the nervousness adds a little element to it, you know. It could, you know, so
It's your
I don't know.
personality trying
just
to break
fun.
free.
Yeah, so it's this is fun. I like this stuff.
You know, I would like just to go on record here for any other Orthodox priest or Orthodox laity who may see this. I had to trim my mustache a little bit, so if you see this, I probably look a little Islam. It's not because I chose to. It's just I trimmed my mustache a little too short. So I've already been told by a couple people, like, you joined the Islam faith, Father? I said, no. I trimmed it too short. It was my mistake, a bad mistake, and I didn't want to cut off the rest of my beard. So for anyone who may see this or watch it, it just, you know.
It happens.
It happens, yes. Mistakes are made, but we recuperate from them. But all in all together, though, yeah, this is a fun experience. I've always enjoyed podcasts. It brings out the best in us. It brings out the best topics. It could bring out some real hard truths, you know, and we talk about it like adults, you know, and it's not like social media where we're trying to bash each other, call each other names. We hear those other side perspectives of stories or whatever it may be, and it is good.
I already know he's gonna be going to your house lots, Tuta boy. I don't know. I think I'll be very comfortable whenever the time comes when he plays out by himself. When he's like probably like 5 or 6.
Started letting my baby Deeds play out. She's 8.
Yeah. Well,
So find some comfort in knowing that, you know, others are looking out for your baby.
yeah. Because I know we have a lot of family around us. He'll be going to you and your mom's. He'll be visiting lots with you guys, I bet.
I'll know where to find you.
Yeah.
All All right, that was it. Podcast number 2 with the Department of Community Safety and Peace. I just want to say thank you guys for coming down. Looking forward to the next time. Daria, always grateful to have conversations with you. It's been a while since we talked, since our public safety days. And yeah, you know, if you have, you know, if you need help in any kind of way, reach out, you know. Look to friends, look to family, you know. Don't self-isolate, you know, unless you want to, then you can. But other than that, we hope you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you around next time.